your man CRB Jr., aka Courtney Robert Brown Jr. in the house here with his main man, the backbone and right arm of Big Boss Filmworks, Lou Stevens in the house. What's happening, fam?
Big up one and all.
So for me and Lou, Uncle Butch, Pops, the Field Marshal, the Professor, Mr. Vice President, all that, and the entire Big Boss family, we want to say thank you guys and support. The channel is growing rapidly. We got some plans to really up our game and even bring some more compelling content. Cannot go into any details, but we are speaking with some gentlemen with exceptionally deep pockets who have expressed some interest in us really taking this thing up to the screen. So we will keep you abreast upon that, but without any way, no matter and however, we are going to start taking some of this content, some of these compelling stories. You know what I'm saying? I did a thing, from 1970 to the turn of the century to 2000. Either Eddie Jackson or those who fell off his tree here in the city of Detroit, or he interacted with. So we're talking about Demetrius Holloway. We're talking about he crossed paths Felix Walls. When Eddie goes away, Doc Davis, and then many of our associates end up hustling with all those guys. And you got the whole YBI era, the stuff that Pap and Eddie Jr. were involved in, and then obviously his offspring off of his tree. My father and the Pakistani plug thing that from '92 to '97. Pop sold as much as he wanted. He made as much as he saw fit to make. And I'm going to unpack that statement a little bit later, that when I say he made as much as he wanted to make. If he didn't make more, it's because he chose not to make more because he thought he might get himself hot. So that anyway, with all that said, so we got obviously 30 solid years of content to unpack, and then we're going to start putting some reenactments and some short stories together, and really give you guys hopefully some entertainment value and some educational value. So that's all coming. But here, this is a Mondays episode, where we try to kind of tie in what we've learned and seen from all those experiences. I was in 1970 when, or 69 when Pops got with the Fat Man. So I was 4 years old then, or no, 6 years old, 64, yeah, 6 years old then. So what I saw from age 6 until the turn of the century, and the business situation. So what this episode today is about is actually the journey of going legit. A lot of commenters always question, all that money you guys made and touched your hands, what happened to the money, this, that, and the third. There was always an attempt to go legit. And going legit can be not just if you're in the streets hustling, moving a bag, and transforming that business model into legitimate tax-paying businesses. It can be if you're hustling out your trunk. What's that process like to do that? To go from selling barbecue dinners. You're selling 100 barbecue dinners a day at $20 a whop, in front of the gas station party. So you're doing $2,000 a day. But what's that transition to opening up a barbecue restaurant? It's a thing. It's a mental hurdle, right? Because what I think gets lost a lot, whether it's the Eddie Jackson story, the Frank Matthews story, the Nicky Bond story. Nicky goes from low level, goes to jail, meets the mob, boom, becomes mega kingpin. Eddie driving taxis, borrowing $50 from my old man to get him through. Next thing, he's a multimillionaire. And this is all occurring. Frank Matthews, they get caught a case for stealing a chicken. Literally, for stealing chickens in North Carolina when he moves up from North Carolina up to Brooklyn.
Wow.
And within, 24 months, a guy who's stealing chickens is maybe the biggest thing on planet Earth in organized crime as far as black drug kingpins going. So you just can't go from poverty to millionaire, and then all of a sudden you say, hey, let's now become a Fortune 500 company. We're going to now hire Arthur Anderson Tax Services, and it just doesn't work like that, guys. So it just was making me think about the whole process and how long the family, and now God is good. Our family has. I don't go into all of the things because I have family members and lots of partners and investors involved in lots of things, and it's just not appropriate for me to go deeply in. But let me cut to the chase and be clear for any of those to question. I'm straight. The fam is straight. Okay? I'm going to say it one more time and then I'm going to let that go. I'm straight. My family is real straight. Okay? The next generation is Ivy League educated, and you still can't drive a whole bunch of places in this town and you ain't going to pass something that either we own or got a piece of. Oh, so be clear on that. Just for the record. Get that off my chest. You know, I don't we do this is a passion, and we take this what we do here at Big Boss very seriously, but this is not how I eat, fam. I am not that YouTuber. Okay? I do not wait for the 22nd of the month to come for the YouTube payout to do nothing. You heard me? To do nothing. My broads couldn't live off of what I make off this. Okay, let's be clear. And you can go to any strip club in Detroit if you want verification of this. Anyway, that'll be silly. But okay, so you got March 15th, 1973, Detroit News runs article, Partners in Real Estate. The question is Eddie Jackson and Courtney Brown, are they partners in real estate, or are they, can you do me a favor, brother? Can you grab me a copy of Old Time Mafia? Mm-hmm. So the newspaper's question is, they run this big story. Maybe when we do this post, we'll even show you guys the actual article. Eddie Jackson said Eddie already had some legitimate businesses. His dad had left him, and I'm talking about the fat man's dad, had left him and his brother Elijah. Yeah. If you ain't checked out the book, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid, Motown Mafia, right? So in that same article where they talk about are they neighbors in real estate, or are they the biggest kingpins in Detroit, or perhaps even the Midwest, the newspapers say. Then they go on to say, hey, both Jackson and Brown say they are business partners in real estate, but neither will reveal any details about their activities. Federal authorities are more specific. They say the two men are among Detroit's principal active narcotic suppliers. Detroit Free Press, Monday, April 16th, 1973. Actually, that was a different article. That was the one in April. They had ran one in March about the neighbors in real estate. So a great deal of the reason why there was no forfeiture of our luxurious homes in Southfield or any of the cars was because Eddie had legitimate businesses. He owned a relatively huge real estate portfolio, right? And there were some opportunities to really go legit a lot sooner, but they were young, and I think people need to put those kind of things in context too. These guys, Eddie was in his late 20s, my father in his early 30s, Black Butch is in his early, late teens, early 20s.
19.
Yeah, the Dolph, again, they were young. So anyway, this is all happening really quick. They've become multimillionaires really, really quickly. Eddie had come from a business family. So he had thoughts about going legitimate or focusing more of his, but life was happening real quick. So their bail bondsman was, shout out to Chuck Goldfarb Bail Bondsman, located still right now down on Beaubien Street in Detroit. Fascinating family, for those who don't know about the Goldfars. They've crossed paths with everybody of significance in organized crime over average is one of the country's premier bail bondsmen. I won't go into Chuck's business like that, but again, shout out to the stand-up guy and all of that. So anyway, Chuck Goldfarb calls to Eddie in 72, and he tells him that he should think about investing in this McDonald's franchise. Eddie said, McDonald's, yeah, I'm seeing them pop out. I know now it's hard to imagine that anybody would question in 2021 the viability of opening up a McDonald's franchise. But believe it or not, in 71, McDonald's was a big company. But if you've ever seen that movie, The Founder, the Ray Kroc story, even as late as 71, McDonald's was not the juggernaut of a company that it is now. So Eddie respects Chuck Goldfarb and them. Chuck the Goldfarb they had. In fact, Chuck he caught a case because of his hidden control, I believe, of Caesar's Palace or Thunderbird or Sahara, one of those Vegas casinos. They, if you ever seen the movie Casino, that's kind of telling the story of what those guys who were Eddie and Dad's bail bondsmen were involved in. Great movie. Robert De Niro talks that whole casino Vegas union thing. But anyway, Chuck tells Eddie, Chuck and his brother, rest his soul, Irving, they tell Eddie, you should think about opening up, buying one of these McDonald's franchises. Eddie's response is, well, how much does it cost? Chuck's response is about $150,000. I know the guys who are with the corporate McDonald's. We can get you a franchise for about $150,000. Eddie's response was, God rest his soul, $150,000 for a hamburger joint. That's a lot, ain't it? For a hamburger joint. Right now, you can't get a McDonald's franchise for like $3 million, right? And a good McDonald's location is like it's better than French Road in the middle of the Pakistani plug. A good McDonald's franchise to $15,000-$20,000 if it's in the right location. God forbid you get one out of state. You're like on 42nd Street in New York or down on International Drive in Orlando. You got to locate. It's a license to print money. That deal went through if he decided to start buying McDonald's and Burger King franchises back then, but they didn't. But it was on the radar to take some of this money as early as the 70s and do that. So I implore again on both. If you're in the streets, get out the streets. You gotta have an exit strategy. And a lot of the guys from this lifestyle don't like to talk about it because we squandered. In my time, by the time my time comes in the 80s and 90s, we squandered so much money. Pops and Eddie and that crew and Butch and them, they squandered so much money. When you're young and money's coming in that much and it's cash, we are all human. So there is no excuse for some of the financial folly except for life is short and you do only live once. Some days I think back and I want to cry about, my, $3,000 a day lifestyle. But then some of those experiences could not have been financed for less. And in the end, it's not about things, it's about experiences. And I know you got to have enough money to take that approach in life. You got to have enough things to where things stop being important to you and experiences are more important than things because you got all the things you want, right? If you read in Kevin's book, The Crack Era, which again I implore everybody to read, great read. Shout out always to the big homie Kevin Childs. He talks about that every day he left the house, he had to leave the house with about $3,000-$4,000 because that being who he was. I mean, you guys do you know what it is when everybody know you got money? But we from the black community. Most of the people that we interact with ain't got that much money. So when you got 100 times more money than 95% of the people you interact with, guess what? If you're a good-hearted guy, you end up giving away a lot of money, man. Every day. Even today, way removed from the streets. When I'm on the block here, man, people know I got $2. If I'm sitting in front of the store smoking a cigar, hey, Courtney, yeah, this going on, this, and the third, let me hold something, you got 20, you got 50. You stop by your man house, they got some problems.
Give me some money, man.
And then some of the old heads, right, just gonna cut, nigga, give me some money.
Yeah.
Just give me some money. Why? Because you keep money, and so take those guys and multiply that times 1,000. So anyway, I was back to what I was saying about if you're in the streets, get out the streets. You gotta have an exit plan. You gotta find a niche. We did some stuff about a couple years ago about 5 ways to go legit. But I'll just repeat again what Warren Buffett said about these things. Rule number 1 in businesses: don't lose money. Rule number 2 in businesses: please don't forget rule number 1. Don't lose money.
That's right.
And rule number 3: do something that you understand. So speaking on the understand thing and why it served us well, coming from a humble family who had humble beginnings, what we understood was simple real estate. which meant when you come from a family that's had to rent and is full of renters, and you get a hold of some capital, right? You understand the landlord-tenant relationship. So we bought houses, lots of properties. We bought big houses that we could turn into rooming houses. So, right, you buy a 10-bedroom house, we understood we could rent out each room was its own apartment. So let's do the math. If I got a 10-room house and I'm charging the tenants $350 a month, that's $3,500 a month, right? Well, it's hard to get $3,500 a month rent from one house. But we understood how that worked. We understood that a big house is better than a big house if done in rooming, if you are comfortable dealing with those brothers and sisters in that environment, is a small apartment complex, right? Mm-hmm. But we understood that. So we never got real fancy. And then kept it simple, right? So if you got 10 houses, they got 10 bedrooms, and each one is rented for $350. Now that's $35,000 a month. That means in 10 months, that's $350,000 top line revenue. Add in another 70, right? Now we're at 420. $420,000 over the course of 10 years is $4.2 million. Don't ask me no more what happened to the money. Okay? Don't ask me that no more. Okay? We can count. Been counting for a long time. All right? So do things you understand, man. Again, if you like cars, car washes, go into that. If you like apparel, go into that. Cause so they, Pops and them was trying to go legit again for a long time. Then you fast forward to the 80s. We opened up a simple check cashing company. We thought it was pretty simple. We had a lot of people hustling at the plant and at the factory. They all got their check. For numerous reasons, those checks were obligated to us for this, that, or the third. So we would just send our people out there, with $50,000, $60,000 when and we'd cash the checks for the guys when they would get off their shift. The authorities did not think that my father needed to be involved in the check cashing business, and or myself, and that was a show. But we had my point. Okay, so yes, our check cashing business was shut down after about 11 months. I was finding myself being subpoenaed. The authorities were coming to my store in New York saying, they made me sign like every check that we cashed. I don't know how many checks we cashed. It was hundreds, maybe thousands. When the feds, because they made me sign, because they were looking to see, if it was some kind of forgery or finding, which it wasn't. I hadn't signed, and then they were, in fact, we was cashing personal checks for some of our friends. When the feds contact them, they're like, to be honest, the check we wrote Mr. Brown, it bounced. So, anyway, so we were thinking even then, we understood that. Again, simple people. Okay, if we cash 100 checks, we make $10 each check, right? That's $1,000, right? 10 times 100. We ain't never pretended to be Einstein, but we can count, right? It was a simple way, so the check cashing concept again. So we was thinking, again, the hustle got in the way, the feds got in the way, the check cashing thing. Then, again, some more, you got to understand too, family. When you're deep in the hustle at that level, and this could be whatever you're in, when things are going good for you, it's hard, you get distracted. And it's a lot like, as far as in the street life, it's like the casino, man. You're up a whole lot, and then you're down. And then you're up a whole lot, and then you're down. It's not, that's why you need to go legit to get a more stable trajectory of your finances, right? And then the Cotillion Club, when we bought the Cotillion Club in '92, the Pakistani thing, it really just got going good. Pops and them had come up from an era where live music was a big thing. I had some connections from New York. Shout out to Money Walsh. Shout out to big homie Jay Walsh. They have been booking acts at Indigo Blues. You've heard Eddie Baby talk about Indigo Blues, the joint right across the street from the Marquis Marriott. Anyway, and at this point, Pops is rolling. He got it in fifth gear, and we were like, and now we're older, so now a little bit less excuse. We're older. We've been around the block. Then been to, Pops then went through the run with Eddie. Been to prison on that case. He been violated for a pistol. They had to do a little more time. Ended that Bohemian Caribbean run. It just ended the Nigerian thing, and now this Pakistani thing comes in. A lot of money coming in. We kind of then went through the whole had a lot, lose it, had a lot, lose it, and we're really looking at something that can be sustainable. So in my immediate business cycle, a lot of my business mentors are old school guys, right? And they say stuff, and it made sense in the fact I've been too smart to listen to them a lot. People in our community, this is what we gon' do. We gon' buy clothes. For better or worse, I'm not passing any judgment. Speaking of clothes, shout out Kathy, Strictly Sportswear, 7 Mile. It's a lot of times all that feline stuff you guys see me wearing, that comes from Strictly's. Shout out to Kathy down there in Calvin. They got some of the flyest stuff, always 30 plus years in the city, keeping it fly. Another shout out to a client, a friend, and business associate, brother Jaron. Just opened up. Rack certified. He's out there at that plaza on 12 Mile and Southfield Road. That's where I got this Negro League jersey from. He's got some fly stuff out there. So the old heads used to always be like, "Look, boy, don't." What they used to tell me, we ain't sending you to school. We ain't sending you to the white folks' school to come back stupid. So I come back and be talking about I'm gonna start selling vegan cookies, some shit like that. They'd be like, "See, that's what we told you. Y'all just sent them kids to school. Now they didn't come back stupid. Niggas don't want vegan cookies. Niggas want Hennessy." I mean, excuse my language. I'm being a little silly, but I'm actually being deadly serious. We have in our community, we have forfeited the basics of who we are when it comes to doing business. Stop calling me. Dollar Bill. That was Dollar Bill calling me, of the famous Harmon family off of French Road, Harding legends. William Harmon, God rest his soul. Kenny Harmon, rest his soul. And the Harmon family. Shout out to them and that whole French Road, Harding, off Mack Avenue crew. That's my man Bruce Harmon calling me to remind me to get him a jogging suit, which is a good thing you called me, Dollar. I would have forgotten. But anyway, I was saying, man, okay, everybody, we need to keep it real here. It being a Money Monday, and talk about where the money go. For some reason, we know that we like to drink. What did the girls, them young girls say that? Patron, right? We gonna drink Hennessy. We gonna drink Douce. We gonna drink Ciroc. But for a lot of us, shy away from getting involved into the bar business or the liquor store business. Shout out to my man across the street. What's my man on the shop across the street? The liquor store now. They just got their liquor license.
Oh, okay.
Kelly's Corner. Kelly's Corner of Ashbury Park and 7 Mile, across the street from our shop. Brother just got his liquor license. Great thing, right? Because that's people drink. We drink alcohol in our community, right? And it just doesn't make any sense for us not to sell it. And you can do what you want to do after you got your cash right. But until you get your cash right, you might want to think about entrepreneur family out there doing what you need to do. It is just a lot easier to sell. It's a little more startup cost, but selling things like alcohol and tobacco and potato chips are good business models.
That's right.
So anyway, Pop and them knew about the entertainment business in that way, and we had a good run. And that Cotillion Club thing, what we had, obviously, besides the fact we had opportunity to bring in some acts, and these people would end up becoming major celebrities. We are the ones who brought Mike Epps to Detroit for the first time. We brought J.B. Smoove to Detroit for the first time. We brought Cheryl Underwood to Detroit for the first time. Drew Frazier. And the list goes on and on. So, again, we understood that, though. We understood, hey, you bring in an act, you build a stage, right? And you sell booze, you sell chicken wings and fries and liquor while the people are telling jokes. We then later, of course, went on. Pops is an old school music head, brought in the Enchantments, the Intruders, Blue Magic, Floaters, and that whole era. All of those guys. And same thing. People want to come, sit down, eat, drink, listen to music. So sometimes we just get too fancy. But because in our community, we are going to go out on Friday night and have some libation and drink and dance and talk crazy. We are going to want to look good. So the apparel. Anybody who knows about, if you don't know the statistic, African American women spend $15 billion a year on hair. I assure you, as I look at my wig collection, wigs and hair are huge. If you don't believe me, go to a Korean community and drive around and see if it does not look very prosperous. Those people have made billions out of our community in the hair industry. So whether it's cool to have the barber shop, but we got to start thinking about being the manufacturers of the clippers, of the actual barber chair, of the apron, all of the auxiliary things to go in. It's great that we got the salon part of the game, but all the inputs of running the salon we still don't control in our community. So that's what all a part, and that's all again, and part of this going legit thing, where we missed the boat on a lot of that stuff. Because if my head would have been where it is now, I would have opened up a barber chair company, right? I would have knowing what I know now, I'd make the aprons that they put on you every time you get your hair cut, right?
Yeah.
I would have put in the sinks. I've been to the supply houses over in China where they make that stuff. It's a huge business. And even though that brother Big Ed Hansen, he had about 20 salons, and even franchising them out. And it's another big hair family here in Detroit, the Mongos. Shout out to Skip and that family, the Mongos. They've been, even back in Detroit, we used to have, remember in the 80s, Vantina's 24-hour salon.
Yep.
So again, there's always room for one more, but And so much of that, like those salon business and barbershops, I know how appealing it is to keep it underground and kind of street-like. It's all cash and it's all gravy. But franchising them and bringing some standardization to those kind of businesses, those are all opportunities we got in our community to really grow and take things to the next level. So, and then, out of necessity to keep the going legit. So that Cotillion Club really kind of took us in the trajectory. We were going to have one more run in with the authorities, that would cause Pops to have to sit down again. But the family, again, by this time, our real estate footprint was kind of really established. And in fact, the other members of the family, even as late as that time, was saying, "What are you guys even doing now? It's not necessary. We're not there yet."
Mm-hmm.
And then when you come around, Lou.
Oh, man. God, that was, 98, 99?
No, I peeped your Fairlane, so that was 02.
Oh, 02, okay.
02, right?
Yeah.
So, because Pops hadn't got, the hammer was just about to fall in that Pakistani situation.
That's right.
And so I personally, still helping out the family with the real estate business. I said, I was gonna try to make my mark in the apparel world, and I think that was the last time. That was 02. Last time I touched, for all those while, last time I touched any contraband. And then of course it's been a whole journey, and we've covered that, and we're gonna repack some of that stuff. In the clothing, a bunch of different clothing concepts, bought, sold, reopened, in the middle of a new reinvention again on that. So again, keep it simple out there, family. I hope you guys are able to follow this story and pick up what I'm trying to put down. You got anything to say on that, Luke?
Yeah, I was going to ask you, are you still, just for those who don't know, are you still into consulting?
Yeah, I do consulting. I don't market myself as one. I become a de facto one. People in this town kind of know me and know all the kind of things I've been involved in. So if people do reach out, which every once in a while they do, I keep a couple clients just out of word of mouth. Shoot us an email to bigbossfilmworks@yahoo.com. Just let me know what you're trying to do. I always do offer like a free half hour consultation. If you just reach out to me, eventually we'll make. I'm gonna be honest, busy guy. Um, but reach out to me. We'll set up some time. Eventually we'll get on the phone. I'm real old school like that. I don't do a bunch of typing. But I'll get you on the phone. You kind of tell me what you're doing. I'll let you know if it's something I know something about. You know, the first time I knew I was getting smart was when I realized how much I did not know. Right?
There you
But
go.
so I do know what I do know, and I know what I don't know, and there's a universe and stuff that I don't know. But the things I do know about, I kind of know a little bit about them. So if they fit into my skill set or my experience, and if I don't know, I might know who you should talk to if you got a business idea or business plan, or you're going through some business struggles. And then after that free consultation, if it's something that makes sense,
Yeah.
you know, I do allow a customizer craft projects or programs, and you can any of my references of anybody who's ever took on any of my consulting, I think they've been pleased about the outcomes.
You're talking to one of them.
Okay, thank you, brother Lou.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, we just put up shop.bigbossfilmworks.com where you can pick up our apparel. We have coffee mugs, we have hats, t-shirts, Black Butch, Eddie Baby, the whole 9 yards. Bunch of t-shirts we have. I'll put them on frame as I speak over this, and check them out. Check them out, man. A lot of new stuff happening.
All right, family. Good thing. Good stuff, Lou. Good stuff. So again, another Money Monday. Hope you guys got something out of this. Again, don't lose. Rule number 1: don't lose money. Rule number 2: don't forget rule number 1. Rule number 3: do something you understand. Booker T. Washington in Getting Off Zero. Mind right, money right. Start where you're at with what you got, and you'll find that you've got all you need. You know, if I waited to have everything in order to open up a business, I would never have had a business.
Talk to them.
Sometimes you just gotta go with what you got, and let the universe and God. You know, people be talking about they want God to bless their business. Well, you gotta get a business for God to bless it.
Yes.
How can He bless a business? That talk about faith. You got to have enough faith for the good Lord. You got to do something. You know, faith without works is dead, I believe, is what the scriptures say. But I'm not gonna keep rambling, family. We appreciate you guys. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button.
And hit that notification bell so you
Notification.
know when we drop something new or if something is in the works. I do premieres like every week. So if you hit the notification bell, you will know when something new is about to pop up. And I love y'all. Thanks for supporting us. And we got a lot more to come.
All right, family. We're out. It's your man, CB Jr., Big Lou Stevens in the house. Doing what we do. Holla at your man.
Peace.
Well, you don't have a
Decadent.
What did you tell? You said you had $1,000 a day habit.
What? When I was a kid? Oh shit! Nah, man. Well, fuck. I fucked up $250,000 in 90 days, in a bad 90 days in '87. and I can be
women, there's drugs,
drugs, women, and just
hanging out, hotel
a
room.
fucked up bad peer group.
$250,000 was like $1 million now.
It was $3,000 a day lifestyle.
$3,000 a day life.
Yeah.
I have some $1,000 days now, but life's more expensive now, and I'm doing business stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
my advice is
I do not say that to glorify. Actually, I say it as a cautionary tale, because.
But you look so good and you're so well spoken.
I mean, the bag was right. 13.5. We was getting him at 13.5.
Ain't lying.
Ain't lying. No, he's getting him at. He's getting him at.
Now, what did that break down to?
I mean,
what did a whip get put on that?
Nah. As Eddie Baby would say, straight drop.
So cooking it.
Put the whole 36 zips in there.
Come back 36?
36, maybe even plus a little bit.
Because you put a little baking soda in there?
Just a touch. God rest his soul. Fat Frank was doing his thing for us down in the project.
And so what would you cut? Maybe, say, 1,200 off a zip? So 50 off a brick?
I'm going to say this with humility. I just looked at the big package. We netted 75 off of each brick.
Oh, so you cut 90 then?
Maybe.
Yeah. We netted 72 off each one.
So you grossed 90. Or no, you net not with cost. I mean, you got 72.
Right.
And they cost you
13.5.
So you were getting 2,000 off an ounce.
When it's all said and done.
With no whip. Oh, so.
No whip.
Because it
no,
was when the early 90s, midnight, when rocks got like absurdly big because it was so flooded.
Yeah, now it was a ton of shit in the streets. If people remember '87 in Detroit.
Because I mean, at one point you could only cut 150 off an 8-ball.
No. This was '87 was one.
250.
'87 was like still the
250.
the golden era.
About 250, 300.
Because Pops never really liked even selling coke.
Yeah.
But
he was only tripling instead of 15 times.
He wanted he was like, this just still is good. It's good money, but it ain't like putting a 20 on it.
Yeah.
But
y'all got back to that later too.
Real quick.
We'll say that for part two.
Part two, but so no, mine on that. If you read, if you look at based on true story, Big Man on Campus.
Is that out?
That's out. That is out.
Oh, you never sent me a link. I got to promote it for you.
Yeah, Big Man on Campus. Got to do that.
When did that release? You had a release party, right?
We had we released it at the book fair.
At the
Hustle and Grind.
You need to do one at my spot in L.A.
We got
some of the Detroit people out there.
We need to do
all
that.
the hustlers out there, allegedly.
Allegedly. About that era, and I ain't drank or smoked or did shit in over 20 years now.
And it ain't nothing to miss.
But I'm not a hypocrite, For
No, I'm saying, but you don't miss it. Like I used to drink a lot. I drink a little bit now, but you don't miss it. For all the people out there, if you're 25 or 35 or 21 and you never did a drug or drank anything, you ain't missing. It ain't the end of the world to do it, but you ain't missing nothing.
You ain't missing nothing. There is
not that big of a thrill.
There is a great enjoyable life to be lived.
Yep.
That being under
not
the
that big of a thrill.
That ain't that. And I'm gonna tell
slows you down from a bunch of other stuff.
What the real OGs told me, like, this shit is to be sold, not used.
Yeah.
And for real, the ones who were little, when I was on my binge madness, they was like, you behaving in some real sucker shit. Only suckers get high all the time, man. And for real, the old heads would tell me, you know better, Junior Brown. Only suckers get high all the time. We in this shit for the money, not to be no fucking dope fiends. Yeah. We doing this shit to get some bread, man. What the fuck's wrong with you? So I know that shit nowadays, that it's glorified.
Yeah, that's disturbing.
But the game ain't changed. That shit, if you gonna be involved in that shit, is to be sold, not used. Let somebody else. The people at Heineken making Heineken not to get drunk.
Get addicted to the bag, for real.
Get addicted to living good, man.
Mark Zuckerberg making meta for you, not himself.
Making meta, thank you. Yeah. No, I know some big shot friends out there in Silicon Valley. They got no cyber days where they turn off the
Yeah.
computers and turn off
No
the phones in
computer.
their house because they don't want their kids.
Yeah.
The people who run these companies,
They
They
know.
how
they
addictive
got
it
no
is.
tech
Because
days
they know.
because they know what they're doing.
It's like the guys that if you sell drugs, you know you don't want your
Kids to
smoking
use-
crack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not all right.
It's not all right. Right. The most hardcore people are the people who know what that to be like. They telling their kids. Long before Nancy Reagan, they told me, just say no.
Doc Davis used to always try to get a half a volume out of me. That would be a big deal for me. But like, I got one of these young ladies. I really put it down when I got one of them things. I'm like, one of them things mean a half a volume? I was like, that was his.
That was his
wild.
That was his wild out of half
Yeah,
of me,
yeah.
and he was on the wild side.
Yeah.
Shout
So we
out.
all need a little, little.
I mean,
like the party
tobacco's
break.
got, and
But yeah,
I got my tobacco, I got my coffee.
Yeah, man, a little bit is plenty.
A little bit, yeah. Life can be really enjoyed more if you remember what the fuck happened.
And you're in control of it when it's happening, and you're not always recovering. And I gotta sleep off for a day, and I ain't got no energy, and
And I'll be honest, it wouldn't even fit into my life.
No, that looks stupid. Yeah.
I mean, I could only do that because Pop was running the show, so he was doing all the strategic thinking.
You didn't really have to concentrate.
I had to sober up for them 3 days where I was asked to work.
Yeah.
I need you to go to this mission. I need you to go down to the Bahamas. I need you to go to New York. I need you to go
Other
to
than
Miami.
that, you were
then
sloshed.
just go. Like it was. I ain't fucking with you right now, Junior. But I'm telling you, next week when you come by,
Yeah.
Be ready.
be ready. But in between time and in the meantime, it was different times. But wow, man, it has been great having you here, friend.
All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
man.
You know,
It's been awesome.
great meeting you, brother. So, once again, only what we do here at Big Boss Filmworks. Again, shout out to Al Prophet, American Dope.
Motown Mafia.
Motown Mafia
Motown
for
Mafia.
life. Motown Mafia podcast. We are, but for real, fam, we gonna put this down in 2022. The streets are clamoring for it, Al.
Calling our
man.
names.
They are, for real. The streets are clamoring for it.
Man, listen, the security in this building, the security at MGM Casino, everybody. Al Prophet.
Oh, I know it's bad for me, so I can only imagine what it is for you.
No, when the security at MGM, because I walked in MGM Casino for Thanksgiving, and I walked past, and then he was asking him for his ID, and I just thought he forgot to ask for mine, so I didn't want him to get in trouble. And he was like, "Oh no, I know you're Al Prophet."
how times have changed, right? How times have changed. But God is good. So, all right, fam. Hope you all enjoyed it. We'll be chopping it up again. Make sure. Hope you guys had a blessed Thanksgiving and all of that for whatever that holiday is worth. I ain't gonna get too political.
Just happy holiday.
Happy holidays for
Happy
real.
holidays.
Enjoy your family.
Enjoy your family. Enjoy your friends. Thank God for your freedom. Shout out to all the family.
And get yourself free from any substances that have you not free.
For real, man.
That's right.
You know,
Break the
and
chain.
take it.
Including, and first and foremost, them goddamn blunts.
Man, hey, we'll wrap it
That's
up.
that's the worst problem of all.
When we were smoking weed back in the day, like we
No,
said,
they act like it's not a. You know how many people I know, especially LA, got $50 a day. They got no car. They live on somebody's couch, but you come up with $50.
that's worse than a crack habit.
It's worse. It is. Like
That's $1,500 a month.
And they only gonna smoke it. They gotta smoke it out of some certain. Oh, I don't smoke those, and they want to go to another gas station. You like, dog.
Come on, get a life.
You got to do this on your own time.
Yeah,
I'm not riding you around to
this-
look for the right program.
this is not your OG's weed. Like I said, back in the day
It's the
when
new heroin.
we were smoking
They be out the game.
Sensimilia and Thai Stick and Monkey Paw. That weed
And that was hard to get.
That was hard to
You
get.
was somebody if you got that.
And it was 6-8% marijuana. I mean
Any
THC.
bum now is smoking 25%.
And that means
Wow.
buyer beware.
They out the game. They shit that stay through.
You know, so yeah, it's a lot. So it does disturb me, but we got to keep just trying to do our part. At least put out the warning signs. Lean is liquid codeine. For you young people who don't know, that means that's the same base.
Ain't no such thing as a perk 30. That's an oxycodone.
Oxy-
They calling that in the rap songs and making that sound so
So bad.
So oxy.
That is what
Same
it is.
thing you selling to to the custos that you look down on
Guess
is
what?
because you dissolved it in a bottle of Sprite with some lean. That don't make you better than them. It probably makes you worse.
Yeah. So for real, fam, it's cautionary times we live in America. We're gonna have to do some
Chaotic
times.
Chaotic.
So we try to keep it real here. That's what we do. Life in the struggle that is what we do here at Big Boss Filmworks. Reminders of life in the struggle. Luckily, the struggle's been going all right for a long time for us, and we do thank God for that. So last time, shout out, everybody good?
Yes,
Round
sir.
the way.
Everybody
All right.
good, man.
Appreciate you guys. Oh, we forgot all throughout this, but before we forget, do not forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Make sure you check out American Dope. Tons of great content on there. Shout out to the young homie Render in the house. Look forward to doing some business with you in 2021. So it's your man, CRB Jr. We're out. Holla at your man.
Out.
Peace.
All right, that's good.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
It was just time to really tell a great untold Detroit story because it kind of covers Detroit at its zenith.
Very interesting story.
We decided that we were gonna make a movie.
All right, Rich Rossi with you with Motown Mafia. I'm with Courtney,
Lewis Stevens.
Lou Stevens, Courtney Brown.
Courtney Brown Jr.
And Alan Al Prophet Bradley.
And this is an entrepreneurial, inspirational story too, because again, I'm a real estate retail guy. That's what my skill set is. But I'm a businessman, so I was like, we're gonna do it. Sometimes when you got a dream, you won't have all the answers on how you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
What made this one unique was not so much the crime, but the intertwining with Detroit's history and the Motown era and kind of the economic decline of Detroit. And it's really the story of a family. And from some perspectives, it's has a happy ending, like you said. For others, it didn't have a happy ending.
Right.
I always viewed, from where I had come from, that this whole street thing or the game or hustling, it was just a business.
Selling drugs, you know what I'm saying, getting money, living that lifestyle, and shit, got tired of getting locked up, you know what I'm saying, catching cases, and when I came home, that 2002, came home and denied shit, couldn't get no job, you know what I'm saying. The man had that bag in, but I was on parole. I was tired of going back, man. So decided I was going, come up with something different. And it was an old cat that I had ran into that put me up on New York, you know what I'm saying, getting clothes, you know what I'm saying, and flipping them. I'm like, man, this shit, seemed kind of slow.
The point of this exercise is to get money. We should think like businessmen. And I understand that's a process, right? It's a process to understand. Simply put, the reason why people sell drugs is because it's a very good business model. It just happens to be that the product, the commodity being sold, the authorities say is illegal, and they only want society to buy the drugs they control and distribute. But there's a large supply of it, demand of it, and because it's black market, the supply gets shaky, which causes for the profits to be high.
And that's basically the same, blueprint that I use for the selling the clothes was just like selling dope. You know what I'm saying?
What we've done in the city again now, bringing that story back to life. It's been.
And you guys you were did have face recognition amongst a certain branch of the criminal elite, but now you have face recognition for being entrepreneurs that inspire people. And you're, I'm not saying this wink, wink. You are a long time legitimate entrepreneur, and you inspire. I'm sure a lot of young or not even young, middle-aged people in Detroit to do their thing.
I don't care whether you're in the game or you're I don't care whether you're selling blow, bags of salt, or bushels of corn. In the end, it is all about relationships. It's going to be about relationships between you and your supplier, you and your customer. Managing and maintaining relationships is key. And on that, when we started, there was no such thing.
Man, listen, me and you were meeting people, and I had been doing it before, meeting people at gas stations. And when these rappers talk about the trenches,
press play, baby. Press play, Northland.
I was glad to be going to Northland. Try going to Glendale and Hamilton, Malcolm X Boulevard to pick up $60. Shantineeks
was a good account.
Man, they owe me about $100. They can have it. If I never have to set foot on Van Dyke and Harper again, I'll be a happy man.
If you don't like your situation, just change it. Do something else. And then that's when I decided to go forward with pursuing my own thing. At that time, I had no idea what my own thing would be. So I started analyzing, what are you good at? Nothing. Great. All right. Next. What are you interested in? Traveling and shoes. How does that make me money? I don't know. Next. So literally it went through that channel or that changeling of emotions for me to arrive at, well, what is it that you're interested in that everyone else isn't interested in?
Do something you understand. And the thing is, Ronald, you're going to hear a whole lot of player haters, people talking about, it's too many barbershops, it's too many clothing stores, there's too many car washes. But that's people who don't understand business. It's always room for one more, Ronald. It's always room for one more. Five Guy Hamburger's still getting money, despite a Burger King and McDonald's being around forever. There's always going to be room for one more. We as a people got to understand how big the market is. I just told you earlier in the show, we spend $1 trillion a year, 1,000 billion. So when you dividing up that kind of money in the black community, there's plenty of room for new business. Around this town, I've been blessed in whether it's the role I played in the success of the Lit Bar, the success I played in what my brother Vano has been able to do over in that Dexter Davison neighborhood, and the way he took what we started off as a little thing and has built it into now 2 stores and a hookah store, and all all the lives I've been able to touch entrepreneurially and watch these people grow and thrive. It does. What's up, family? It is your man, Courtney Brown Jr. here in one of my many offices doing a little work, and sometimes we get motivated to share what's on our mind with the family out there. And always, before we get started, please hit the like and subscribe button so you can keep track of what we're doing. Always in our attempt here at Big Boss to kind of keep it real, say some things, to share some of the blessings and experiences that God has blessed us with, to share with the family out there, to help us all reach our dreams, goals, and aspirations. What we talk about, by the way, in Mind Right, Money Right, Getting Off Zero, available on Amazon or at BigBossFilmworks.com. Of course, you guys know about Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid, about my dad and Eddie Jackson, first guys really to rock the streets of Detroit, and that's available at BigBossFilmworks.com or at Amazon. But what we're going to talk about today, kind of a theme, we're doing a whole kind of entrepreneurial series right now, is if you're in the streets or you're in let's just call it the underground economy, you're hustling, whatever you're doing. It's whatever you're doing, you're not filing a W-4 or getting a 1099 tax, right? You're doing what you're doing to feed your family and to make things that you need to happen. But as we know, most of those kind of things end up leading to problems, legal or health, shall we just say, problems go with some of those underground economy activities. So if you're one of those people, or you know somebody, got a friend, family, loved one, lover that's in the underground economy, and they're trying to think like, how do I transition? Because I know what I'm doing right now, I'm doing all right for myself, but eventually this ain't gonna last forever. But I've been there, we've been there, you know, three decades. My family operated at the very highest level of the underworld, and the day came we had to think about, we can't keep doing this. After enough family and friends getting sent away to prison, millions of dollars in legal fees, the family had to survive. We were either gonna go backwards or transition into a different way of living and join the mainstream economy. And I've seen numerous friends and family face that same dilemma when they get to the point that, like, you know, we've been moving the bag, we've been hitting licks in the street. Either the feds are all over me, or I'm just getting out the joint. I don't want to go back to doing what I've been doing, and I need a way out. But that's what, you know, we all products of our environment, and we only know what we know. So just so you know, we're going to give a couple lists of some things that if you are, again, in that kind of situation that you might want to think about. Really simple, not heavy. Every business takes some kind of what they call startup money. But you know, these are not things that you got to take all of your bread and throw it into to get it off the ground. But there is a method to my madness in this list. Number one, although there is always tons of them in the hood, it's always room for one more, and that's a car wash. Now you might be like, yeah, you know, there's a car wash on every block in the hood. Yeah, but think about how many cars there are that are dirty. I mean, and think about this too. In every business, they call it in business school or in those kind of environments, what's your strategic advantage? So if you've been in the underground economy for any amount of time, you probably have met all kinds of people, right? You actually kind of have a big network. You know a lot of people, even more people know you between your family, friends. So just that intrinsic support you might have for a venture like that is already there, because let's say your network is 100 people between your immediate clique, your crew, and they friends and friends. So you open you up a car wash, and you know what your people like, because likely while you've been out there, you had your favorite car wash and have seen or traveled and seen lots of different car wash options. But just to run some quick numbers by you, you know what I'm saying? If you got, between you and your friends and family, 200 people, you know, coming to spend, 200 times 10 is 2,000, but a good car wash is $20 once a month. $20 times 200, what's that, $4,000? That's a good little starting point, right? That just out of your friends and family, once you get your space, you can legitimately, and then if you start throwing detailing, but to get something going where you can maybe bring in between $4,000 to $8,000 a month, again, most of this is cash, if you're operating in the hood, and you can really leverage your relationships. And that's what it's gonna take as you transition out of that underground economy into the mainstream. You're gonna need somewhere you can already leverage your relationships. So definitely think about a car wash. Don't be discouraged because there's so many of them. We in our community don't realize how big the economy really is. There's always room for one more. Avi and Moshe Toledo, some Israeli genius businessmen I work for, they told me that years ago. There's always room for one more. The clothing business, that was the route I took. You know, what I did know is that people in my community, in my circle, like apparel. They like whatever's the hottest thing out. I understood a little bit that Macy's and the big department stores, they had what they call overhead, a lot more overhead than I had, which meant that if I went and bought me a building or rented or leased me out a building, even if I was paying a little bit more for the merchandise from Nike or Rockaware or whoever I was carrying at the time, I could actually wheel and deal and sell it to my people and sell it to my consumers at a lower price. And that in the end, there probably would be a business there. And that, again, I always like doing business in the hood. A lot of people in the hood, and it's the same in every city, may not have access to get to the mall or get to maybe some of the fancier places where, and again, if you've been in that underground economy, where's the people that you know at? They're in the hood. So if you put a business like our apparel shop or boutique in the hood, you know the people, you know the lay of the land, you know the ecosystem, you know all the other business owners around there, you know the people that you were hustling with. And if you've handled yourself right, you got a good rapport. Some people gonna hate on you, but a lot of people are gonna give you a play. You know, when we made that transition, we started opening up clothing stores in the neighborhood. A lot of guys from back in the day, word get around, you know, in our community, we talk quick. They were like, oh, Junior got a clothing store over there, blah, blah, blah. And the old man, his friends, you know, word of mouth spreads quick. So that's another one. And it's something we know about. In an old video, we talked about Warren Buffett once saying, you know, 3 rules of business. Rule number 1, don't lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. And rule number 3, do something you understand. Most of us come from cultures. We understand what's hot. Our nieces and nephews or cousins are always, they're like fashion consultants. They're always telling you what the next hottest thing is. So think about the apparel business. Barbershop and salon, again, it's gonna seem like it's too many barbershops, too many salons, but when you really think about it, it's 40 million black folks in America and counting. There's always gonna be a need. People hair keep growing, people keep having babies. Again, you open up in a neighborhood where people kind of already know you. You kind of probably got a built-in support system. If not, if you're high enough on the food chain, or buy a barbershop. A lot of struggling barbershops and salons that could really up their game if somebody with a little bit of capital, a little bit of money came in and helped them jazz up the place. So one of those 2 options you might want to think about too. Either beauty shop, salon, either open up your own, or look for somebody who's got a kind of struggling business. You can come in with your cash and kind of help them bump it back up. Another avenue that we ended up doing when the family got out of the street was the bar restaurant thing. Same kind of philosophy. In that lifestyle and underground economy, you've been going out to eat and drink with your friends forever. You already know what they like, what liquors to carry. You know what kind of, if you want to bring in entertainment, what kind of entertainment to bring in, and you know how that works, right? And now that business, the bar business, does take a little bit more money to get into, but it ain't unsurmountable business. And again, if you're in that underground economy, or just, you can be a working guy looking to do something on your own. If the bar business costs too much to do by yourself, go out and find some other guys or sisters who got similar minds, who are trying to do something next level and link up. But ain't no more, the best drug business in the world is the booze business. Ain't nobody moving the bag like Hennessy, Remy Martin, and Amstel Light, or Modelo, or any of them. Look at what Puff's done with Ciroc. So it ain't nothing wrong with Puff being your plug. Let him get you that Ciroc, and you go ahead and move that Ciroc for him. And lastly, what we're doing here. If you've been out involved in the underground economy, or just grew up in urban America, or in the average African American, you'd be amazed if you sat down and wrote down how many interesting people or situations you've come across, and you find formats like this to put it in some kind of organized way to share that content with the world. You might be surprised how much success you can have. So we're never haters here, Big Boss. We're always congratulators. Want to share some of the things we've had some success doing. Chase your dreams. 5 businesses if you want to get out of the underground economy and go mainstream. So hope it gave you some food for thought. Holla at your man. Peace. Hey family, it's your man Courtney Brown Jr. here at Big Boss Filmworks. Before we get too deep into this, please make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and you can leave a comment if you like also. So again, we're just talking about trying to keep in some context, following up on a kind of theme throughout our course in our entrepreneurial career, and that transition out the streets and some of the people and characters we interacted with, to always be prepared, because you just never know who and when you might see as you're trying to make your business get going and get your thing off the ground. So another guy who ended up, or was already kind of doing this thing that my paths just happened to cross paths with, was my man Dame Dash. Now, prior to this encounter, You know, I'd already been a fan, of their music too. You know, with him and Jay, we're doing it Biggs, we're doing it Rockefeller Records, but obviously their whole story of three guys who all had come out of the streets, used their street savvy to end up building a record company, and then by this time they built major clothing brand, Rockaware, and actually by the time of this interaction with Dame Dash, him and Jay's business affairs had kind of went separate directions. So Dame was doing business with a company called Pro-Keds. And those old enough would know back in the day, Pro-Keds used to be a big sneaker line. And Dame had bought the company, and he had started another apparel line called CEO. So anyway, I'm in Vegas. I'm at the Magic Show at the Las Vegas Convention Center, just doing my thing going. And at this time, all the rappers were kind of doing their own clothing lines. And part of the store that I was doing at the time, our concept was kind of bringing in. So we carried a lot of Rockaware, a lot of Def Jam, a lot of Outkast, whoever was in hip hop who had a hotline, we were carrying it right then. So, and we always was a good networking opportunity out there in Vegas. So anyway, I just see the Pro-Keds. I was like, oh, Pro-Keds got their own pavilion, their own booth at Magic this year. I pop in there, and so lo and behold, guess who's working his own booth? You know, it's no sales rep in there. It's Dame Dash, and I'm like, oh shit, Dame, Mr. Dash, how you doing? And we chopped it up for a minute. I mean, again, I had already respected the guy's business acumen, and you know, his hustle, skill set, and his ability to grind, and where he started and where he got, and that he'd always, I thought, kept it real. But anyway, we chopped it up. I did place a small order with Pro-Ked. I'll get back to, even though I placed a small order, again, how you carry yourself and having yours. So I shared kind of my vision, what I was trying to do in the retail world. And I had a couple stores already in Detroit. We were looking to expand to Atlanta. He was kind of feeling where I was coming from. But on a side note, really to say something about this guy, and again, I ain't saying we're friends, but we did chop it up for a minute. Some other retailers came in. They had a big store line out of the East Coast. They had about 30, 40 stores. So it would have been a good account just for somebody to try to smooth up to. But Damon, ain't that kind of guy. So anyway, they say something to the fact that, oh, you and Jay-Z aren't doing business together anymore. And Dame's just kind of like, yeah, we, me and my man went separate ways. And they start kind of trying to egg him on just to say some disparaging things or, really kind of be nosy about him and my man's business. And he was like, Jay right down the hall at the Rockaware booth. If you got some questions to ask about that, you should. I ain't got nothing bad to say about my man. You want to talk about Pro-Keds or what? So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is a classy guy, man. This is a classy guy. That's just a little anecdote in the story for life and surely for our culture. We got to get away from this love to kind of tear each other down. Sometime in business we go separate ways. That's grown man shit. That just happens. That don't mean you have to talk bad about somebody. But anyway, it was a classy guy. Again, I wrote a small order with Dame. Next thing I know, when I get to the shop 2 weeks later, it's like, I don't know. I maybe placed a $6,000 order. He sends me about $20,000 worth of Pro-Ked gym shoes. Opened me up a line of credit. Again, and it was really just based upon relationships. So he ended up selling Pro-Keds very shortly thereafter. Once he sold out of Pro-Keds, I stopped carrying the line. But another example of you just never know. And a lot of those same skill sets you guys have acquired, who are out there doing what you're doing, or whether you're in the streets, ain't been in the streets, whatever. If you're working at your salon or whatever, that people skill set or that ability to talk to people and relate to people, you just got to put yourself in situations where you can win. Because again, people are people, and everybody really remember, everyone who's quote unquote big now, at one time they were small. So if you're talking right and you're talking good business, people always got time to talk to somebody who's talking about doing good business. So again, check us out, Big Boss Filmworks. We got some more hot content coming. Hit the like and subscribe button. Follow your dreams. Peace.
2.
What's up, family? It's your man, Courtney Brown Jr. here at Big Boss Filmworks. Thanks to everybody who's been subscribing and following our content. We always try to put out some things to give people some provoking thought. Keep it real. Our tagline around here has always been to try to give the real depiction of life in the struggle, and that's in the big picture of the struggle. Just, those who know what the struggle is, knowing those who don't know, well, one day you'll find out. Look for some more stuff coming up on Motown Mafia, Big Man on Campus, our next project. It's our author team is finishing up my manuscript, and that's going to be available very, very shortly. If you have not checked out Motown Mafia, available on Amazon or at BigBossFilmworks.com. Getting Off Zero, Mind Right, Money Right. Great little book to share with anybody you might have that is sitting down behind the walls. Want to give them some hope and some motivation, or if you're just entrepreneurial, or if you're just kind of into the history of your people. Great read, Mind Right, Money Right, Getting Off Zero. And then, of course, again, if you like to read, and soon to be available on audiobook, Motown Mafia, Memoirs of a Kingpin's Kid. So we're going to talk about another one of these interactions. The good Lord has blessed me with throughout this crazy journey that has been my life. While Pops was in the streets and working with him to my transition into my own entrepreneur, I just bump into people. It's like it's a crazy gift that the good Lord blessed me with. And most of the time, or at least half the time, I've been blessed enough to kind of turn those coincidental interactions with quote unquote celebrities or famous people into business opportunities. When we were talking about the days we were running a nightclub and bringing in comedy, we ended up bringing in people like Mike Epps and Cheryl Underwood and T.K. Kirkland, J.B. Smoove, before they got famous, and then they became famous. When I got into the retail game, I ended up bumping into people like Russell Simmons and Dame Dash. Said some of the right things. They liked where I was coming from. They ended up doing things helping my business. And along that same course, later to be the actor, at the time, the rapper Eve, and she was with, I think, the Rough Rider label. And again, out in Vegas, just networking. We had opened up a couple stores in the hood in Detroit, and they were doing their thing, but relationships is everything in business. You just sometimes, this is something, one of those skill sets or understandings that transcend from the streets or corporate America or entrepreneurial world. You're really only as good as your connects. It's just the best hustler in the world who ain't got a good connect, you ain't gonna make much money. It ain't your fault. And even sometimes in business, you could have the best screenplay in the world, but if you don't get that screenplay in front of the right person, it just can't go anywhere, or it's gonna be very difficult. So putting yourself in positions to sometimes get a break, you got to put yourself in those kind of positions. So anyway, I'm at the convention center in Vegas. It's a magic show. I'm popping by, and I see all this kind of buzz going, and I look and I see this pretty girl in it, and I look closer to I think it was my ex-wife at the time, or my wife at the time, now ex-wife. She's like, hey, that's Eve. She's got a hot line of clothes out called Fetish. She's like, you should get some of that for the store. And I'm like, So, attitude and confidence is a big part of success. So it's all roped off with security, and you're not supposed to be able to get access to her. But enough times of walking into places when people know you, or walking into places where I act like you should know me. If you don't know who I am, that's your problem, not my problem. You just kind of keep walking past people. So I shot that kind of old school move. Her security there asking everybody for ID to get up to the booth. And I just, walk right past them like I'm supposed to. Like, basically, don't you know? And they don't say anything. So next thing, I'm right at the booth with Eve, and she's like, hey, how you doing? Again, she's down to earth, really down to earth sister. And I was talking about the elevator pitch. Always have whatever you're in. I don't care if you're in the hair business, clothing business, bowling ball business, restaurant business. The kind of people that you want to meet to make your business grow. And you should have locked and loaded a 30-second what they call elevator pitch, or a 30-second spiel that if you ever cross paths with the people you need to cross paths with, you can hit your line and go for yours, right? So same thing. So I already, in these kind of environments, I already have my elevator pitch locked and loaded. So once we get past the meet and greet, how you doing? This is who I am. Yeah, obviously, I'm a fan of your music. Blah blah blah. She like, well, so what's going on? What you doing? What's your situation in retail? And I go on the thing that I got a couple stores in Detroit. Thinking about opening up some in Florida. Thinking about opening up some in Atlanta. Blah 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 blah. And she's like, oh, that's great. Well, you gonna be carrying fetish? And I'm like, well, that's what I'm here to talk about. You guys, you guys have one of those funny style lines. Don't want to open up any accounts because I was like, I'm straight. It's like my stores are in the hood. And, sometimes you guys with your lines don't want to have your lines in the store. She was like, nah, we, that's the people who live in your neighborhoods are the people who support me. So I definitely want my line in those kind of stores. We exchanged information. She passed it along, gave my information to one of her sales reps. The next thing I know, again, she opens me up with a line of credit with fetish. Like all lines, it eventually ran its course. But for a minute, it was really, really a hot line. We sold a whole lot of it, did some real good business, and really helped the stores we had in Detroit do what they did. So shout out to Eve. Of course, she went on to do the barbershop stuff, and I think she's married rich now or something, really. Whatever she's doing, I'm happy for her success. And yeah, just again, throughout this journey, you never know who you might bump into. So always be prepared to say what you need to say when you need to say it, because you just never know. So just a little encouragement from the man to Big Boss. Got a lot of stuff coming out.
Oh shit.
What happened? I thought I was recording. I wasn't recording. I thought it was loud. Like, what happened there? Sorry about that. Take it from the top.
Is it recording now?
Yeah, it's recording now. Take it from the top. It's recording again. We'll take it from the top. You got a little chop in there anyway. So 3, 2, 1 from the beginning.
Welcome, fam. Thank you for tuning in for the premiere episode of the Kingpin Kid Radio. We're glad you could all tune in tonight to hear us break up a little game. The topic for tonight's show is My People and Money, African Americans, the richest po folks in the history of history. What do you mean, Mr. Brown, the richest po folks in the history of history? This is what I mean. I'm going to give you some numbers, and I don't want to scare you. We ain't going to turn this into no accounting class, but I just need you to get a full grip on what I'm talking about. African Americans spend $1 trillion a year on stuff. That ain't what we make. That ain't what we getting in the streets. That ain't what we getting on our paychecks. That's just after we get money, what we spend it on. Now, $1 trillion is 1,000 billion. Needless to say, that's more money than Buffett, Gates, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and all the rest of the Fortune 500 put together. We as a people spending that kind of money. But yet, every category about having money, we as a people come in last. So we're going to break down some of the reasons why this is, why some of our cultural habits, have led us down this road of having a lot of money on Friday, but being broke on Saturday. Why kind of living this fantasy life, acting like every day is the BET Awards, is really leading us and our future generations down to a road of poverty. And I'm keeping it real. I come from the streets. Those who don't know my story, who have unfortunately not read my book, Motown Mafia, or seen our documentary, Motown Mafia, to give you some background, my old man was the #2 man in the biggest organization that ever came out of the streets of Detroit when we're talking about the drug trade. So I kind of seen a lot and did a lot, from being a child growing up in the projects of Detroit to immediately moving to the plush suburbs of Detroit, hanging out with the Motown crowd, growing up around Smokey Robinson, The Temptation, these kind of peoples. Later on, by my teenage years, seeing the transformation of Detroit with the Young Boys Incorporated and seeing many of my friends go down that road, to later going off to college, starting up all kind of businesses and doing business with pretty much any and everybody in every field you might want to think about. So I say all that to say this. When it comes to the topic of money, really, trust me, I know what I'm talking about. But before we get too deep off into all of this, we got to take a little commercial break. We got to get some bills paid. Listen to what my sponsors is talking about, and we'll be right back with you.
Big Boss Filmworks and Big Boss Books presents Courtney Robert Brown Jr.'s follow-up to the book Motown Mafia. Motown Mafia, Big Man on Campus. Corey Black Jr. is a newly pledged frat member who is in college to make his mother happy and proud that he'll be the first man to go to college in the family. He's also the nephew and son of two of Detroit's most notorious drug kingpins. His father, Corey Black, has fled authorities. His Uncle Joe Black is the reigning figure in the narcotics trade. Uncle Joe has Corey do runs for him to carry on the family business, laundering money and running narcotics. Uncle Joe also owns real estate with Corey's mother, who has a great deal of control in the business. Corey Black Sr. wanted Corey to go to school to bring legitimacy to the family, but Corey had other plans. While in college, with the help of his friends and his girlfriend, he starts and grows a successful drug operation. Unbeknownst to Uncle Joe and Tracy, Corey enjoys the most exclusive strip clubs, frat parties, casinos, and women that the city has to offer, all while basking in his newfound popularity. Corey finds himself conflicted with his responsibility to running the family business and his obligation to his college studies. However, he'll have to make things work in his favor if he wants to remain the big man on campus. The names have been changed to protect the guilty and the innocent.
Three, two, one.
All right, fam, welcome back. So we're going to pick up where we left off at. My People and Money, African Americans, the richest po' folks in the history of history. And you know, the reason why this topic is important is because I ain't got to tell you, a lot of brothers and sisters, we is killing each other over this money thing. You know, back in the day, I remember it was kids in, my hometown, they was shooting each other over leather coats. Now the kids killing each other over Cartier glasses. You know, we got this thing so twisted. Our desire to be viewed as having money is driving some of us to do some extreme things. People catching cases and killing and robbing and stealing, all so they can pretend like they got some money. And nobody asked themselves the $1 million question. Why don't we just really get some money? Then we ain't got to rob and steal and kill to pretend like we got some. So, you know, it's a mindset. You know, I was just at my man owned a club in Detroit. It's the hottest club in town called the White House. And people go down there, and there's ain't nothing wrong with having a good time. And, you know, I practice what I preach, and I ain't hating on nobody. You know, I done popped more bottles of champagne than most ever will know and blew more money at the strip club than most will ever see. But that said, it's a time and place for everything. Every once in a while, it ain't nothing wrong with you and your crew going out, celebrating the fruits of your labor. But that can't be your way of life. You got to learn to stack before you jack. After you done stacked enough, then you can take a few dollars and say, all right, fellas, let's go have a good time. But if every weekend you spending 70, 80% of everything you took in, I don't care if you working or hustling, you a sucker. You getting pimped by the club, you getting pimped by the liquor company, you getting pimped by the champagne company, and that ain't the way it's supposed to be. You know, we got to really tighten this thing up. It ain't no reason to be at the club flossing on Friday night, but then on Tuesday night, you talking about jacking somebody to try to get some more money. That's playing yourself. But you know, the situation is deep. It's a whole lot of information. This ain't going to just be a one episode topic because it's a real big topic. I think it's the #1 topic affecting our community is how we interrelate with each other on this money thing, what our perception about getting money is, and how do you get some money? You know, everybody want to live like Puffy and Jay, but don't nobody really want to open up and start businesses like Puffy and Jay. So, you know, it's a whole lot. We ain't going to try to overload you, fam, with all this at one time. I'm just throwing out some food for thought. We got a few people who done sent us some emails and some texts. They got a few questions for me. So let me go to my man. We got Lou. He's handling the switchboard tonight. Lou, what they talking about out there?
Okay, I got a text here from Jason. He's fresh out of Milan, and he went in on a weed charge. He doesn't want to go back, so he wants to know what can he do to not live a sucker's life, but at the same time make some money.
All right, well, first thing, Jason, welcome home. You're definitely on the right side of the fence. I actually spent my high school years visiting my old man up at Milan, and I done visited quite a few family and friends there. That ain't no place to be. Ain't nothing glorious about being in the Fed joint, except for I guess it's better than being in the state joint. But that said, you're definitely on the right side of the fence. So the main thing is, Jason, we got to get a plan. The problem is too many brothers do time or don't do time, but they ain't got a goal. You know, and it ain't about a sucker job or a low-paying job at McDonald's, because I'm going to keep it real with you. You know, a job is better than no job. Some money beat no money. As the old timers told me, half of something going to beat all of nothing all the time. You know, we got to kill this schoolyard foolishness that somehow it's some pride in being unemployed, you know, talking about you a player or you hustling. Shoot, the fact of the matter is the average kid at McDonald's make more money than half the niggas out there who call themselves hustling. You know, there's a tripped out book called Freakonomics. They did a study in Chicago how much the average kid that called themselves hustling was making. When you break it down that you out on the block for 16 hours a day, you know, you taking in $100. After you get done with this and that and expenses, shoot, you making less than minimum wage. And I say all that to say this, Jason. You know, don't get caught up. It's a whole lot of brothers, I'm sure you know, that's doing time, but they wasn't getting no money. And I'm speaking from a guy who grew up around guys who, you know, I remember when all the big fellas my father was hustling with, and their whole organization came down, and you know, and the feds locked everybody up. But the old man used to always say, you know, I know why I'm locked up. I'm locked up because we was getting millions. See, he wasn't never confused why he was doing time. The cats that schooled me, when the feds came down and got them, they wasn't confused why they was going to jail. They was going to jail because they was getting real money. They was getting money to change the course of their family. They was getting money to be able to start and legitimize businesses, all right? They wasn't getting money so that they could go afford to buy a bottle of Hennessy. They wasn't catching cases for Cristal. I'm going to keep it real. Niggas out here nowadays catching cases for Cristal. That ain't a good reason to be locked up, Jason. So main thing is get a plan. Check out that new book, Getting Off Zero. It's got some real valuable information. You know, set you a plan. Take it slow. Don't let these suckers force your hand into trying to floss and have you catch another dumb case. So, you know, holler at us at BigBossFilmworks.com. Definitely holler at us at HighExposureConsultant.com. We got some people who love, you know, we give a free consultation on small businesses. But just remember this, bro. Some money is better than no money. Don't let these suckers force your hand and have you doing something stupid. Just take your time, holler at your people, and we'll try to give you some insight when we got some more time. Thanks a lot for the question, Jason.
2, 1.
All right, welcome back, my people. Courtney Robert Brown Jr. here at inaugural programming of the Kingpin'sKidRadio.com. We just chopped up a question from my man Jason, fresh home from the Fred joint. We talking about my people and money, African Americans, the richest po folks in the history of history. My man Lou, what else they talking about out there?
We got Ronald. He just took the buyout from Ford, and he wants to know how can he start a business with this money that he's got. It's 10,000, by the way.
10,000. 10 racks at one time. Well, here's the deal, Brother Ronald. This ties into a much bigger question, because this is something that we as a people got to start to understand. Now, Ronald, if you got 9 more friends that you worked with at the plant, and y'all all took that buyout, that means each one of your friends plus you got 10 stacks. Put that together, y'all got 100,000. Let's just say that everybody took half of their money and said, let's take 5 each and put it aside. Now we got 50,000. The point is this. We as black folks got to realize everybody else pooled their money to get money. But we always like to try to do everything individual. So it's hard for one man to compete against 10 people. So if everybody else is pooling their money together to pull off a business, we got to do the same. So the first thing I say is, Ronald, is really talk to some other people in your same situation. Try to explain to them that, hey, why don't we all cut our wrists? This money ain't going to last forever, so we need to make this money work for us. See if you can get 3, 4 other friends together. Y'all put together y'all 25, 30,000, and then you just keep it simple, Ronald. You look for a need. You know, my man Warren Buffett say he got three rules when it come to business. Rule number 1, don't lose no money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. And rule number 3, do a business you understand. That means if you're the kind of cat to get his shoes shined, like to get his gaiters shined up and all of that every week, you might want to think about the shoe shine business. If you're the kind of guy that get his rims done every week and get his car detailed 3 times a week, you might want to think about the car wash business. If you're the kind of guy that like to go shopping and like to go out to Vegas and to Cali and down to Miami to get fresh outfits, you might want to think about the apparel business. You know, do something you understand. And the thing is, Ronald, you're going to hear a whole lot of player haters, people talking about, oh, it's too many barbershops. It's too...
I've got tape rolling, and in 3, 2, 1.
All right, fam, back again. Courtney Robert Brown Jr. here. Premiere episode of the Kingpin's Kid Radio. Trying to share some knowledge and some experiences, things that's been on my mind for a while. We're glad you tuned in. Tonight's topic is, once again, African Americans, the richest poor folks in the history of history. We're going to get into some information, but right now we got our chat lines and our emails and our texts is blowing up. So, you know, this is a topic I see I'm going to have to do a part 2 on it. So I'm going to try to get a couple more questions answered. My man Lou handling the phones. What we got coming in, Lou?
We got another text from Simone the Diva. She wanted to know, what was it like for you having a kingpin as a father, and what effect did it have on you?
There's people. I do business with Arabs, Koreans, Lebanese, Chinese, Jews. A man or woman who's looking to do good business is a man or woman who's looking to do good business. So you basically reach out to some people, explore your options, and then if not, always go to highexposureconsultant.com and we'll do what we can to help you. But we're going to take another question in a minute. Let your man take a little break. I'll holler in a sec. I mean, to hit the topic, to bring it back in, to me, first of all, the old man was just my father. You know, the fact that he was, you know, one of the major hustlers in the town didn't really impact me. In fact, until that day on my way to school in 3rd grade when I picked up the newspaper and I saw my house and a picture of my old man and the headlines read, "Kingpins live in lap of luxury," it never really hit me. Obviously, growing up in a house where your old man comes home with duffel bags full of money every night, you get a different perception of what it is to have money. It did set a certain standards of what I thought about a man should do, about providing for his family. I guess it affected how I felt about a black man's role in America. You know, I look back now at my childhood and what was really valuable was the guys that I saw growing up. You know, I never saw a black guy really begging or asking for money or not in a position of some empowerment. Now, I'm not saying what they was doing was right or wrong. That's a different episode. But I just assure you of this. If more young men grew up seeing more black role models of well-groomed, well-dressed black men who are empowered, who keep money in their pocket and carry themselves with a certain level of pride and respect, we'd have a different community. So, you know, I guess the main thing that I would say what it was like having a father who was a kingpin was, it was empowering. You know, and we would save the morals of, you know, what the old man was doing to get that money. We can discuss that on a later show. But I guess in one word, if I had to sum it up, it would be, it was empowering. So, all right, what else we got out there?
Kiki wants to know, how can she get the book and the DVD, Motown Mafia?
Kiki, thanks for the support. Always, you can go to BigBossFilmworks.com. You can go to Amazon.com, and I believe that we are now up on Lulu.com. So any of those 3 platforms, you know, there's always little promotional gifts we give if you go to BigBossFilmworks.com. But you can always holler at our people at Amazon or Lulu. They got the book and doc. It'll give you some more insights on your man. You know, the doc won Best Crime Story at the LA Film Festival. We got a lot of love and rhythm at the Martha's Vineyard Film Festival. And the book, you know, has been critically acclaimed. So it's all good. Holler at your people online, Roxanne. Your man got to go. Talk to y'all folks in a second. Welcome back, fam. It's your man, Courtney Brown Jr. You know, here at Kingpin'sKidRadio.com, our premiere episode talking about our topic tonight. My people and money, African Americans, the richest poor folks in the history of history. Make sure you call or give us a call at area code 954-232-5919. That's area code 954-232-5919. You can always check us out on Twitter. You can always check us out at Facebook at Big Boss Filmworks. So, back to the question at hand. My people and money, African Americans, the richest poor folks in the history of history. It never ceased to amaze me sometimes when you see people with the nicest cars, the fanciest clothes, but yet they always talking about not having no money. And it'd be like when I be hearing these things, it just make me wonder, well, didn't you think about that before you spent all your money? Getting broke ain't like a virus. You don't just all of a sudden get exposed to getting broke. It's a process. Before you get to your last dollar, a person's supposed to see that coming. But we didn't got, a lot of times I think in our culture, we didn't got into this. We gonna hit a lick or something miraculous is gonna happen, or we too comfortable with a pattern of living from next lick to next lick or from paycheck to paycheck. And again, there's a big issue, and there's a whole lot of reasons why we behave the way we behave. But I just wanted to really throw this conversation out there because it's a topic we got to start talking about, because how we interrelate with each other concerning this money thing is really affecting our whole community. It's this money thing that is at the root of a lot of the way we interact with each other, is at the root of a lot of the violence and the senseless shit that's going on in our neighborhoods, is at the root of a lot of the levels of disrespect between the man and the woman in our community, between our young ladies and our young men in the community. A lot of this is all centered around this money thing. So we want to really keep that topic going. I can already tell we ain't going to have enough time on our premiere episode to really flesh everything out. But it is a couple things I want us to think about tonight. A person should always have a little bit of money in the nest egg. My great-grandmother, she had come from down south, She couldn't read nor write. She didn't have the benefit of none of the fancy schools that I've been blessed enough to go to. But you know what? She always had enough sense not to spend her last money. And she could always go back to her little penny purse, and look under there and find her a couple dollar bills. So it just amazed me that nowadays, in today's situation, that we find so many people who are comfortable with spending their last money. But again, the phone lines is blowing up out there. I do want to give a quick shout out to a couple of my people who is real important in getting this thing off. First of all, I got my man Richie Rich, DJ Taxi. He done flew in from D.C. to help us with this premiere broadcast. He's been with us at Big Boss Filmworks for the inception of this thing. Much love and peace to DJ Taxi. Appreciate him coming into town. That's right. Always special shout out to my homegirl Michelle Moore over at Hood Books in Detroit. She helped us put it down that first run of the Motown Mafia, the book. Big shout out to my man Ice at Harlem World. Always holding it down. So, there's special love. There's a whole lot of people who show us love out there in the country. Oh, I ain't gonna forget my man Pops at Black Star down in Harlem, or my people down in South Florida. So it's a lot of love being shown to us. These is black folks, white folks, all kind of folks. We getting money together. But we're going to talk more about y'all getting your house in order with that money. But all they're giving me, my producers is giving me the signal again. I'm running off at the mouth. I'll be right back at you. All right, fam, we back again. Courtney Brown Jr. here. Premiere episode of the Kingpin'sKidRadio.com. Make sure you give us a call at area code 954-232-5919. That's area code 954-232-5919. We back again. We got our text lines and our emails blowing up tonight. We appreciate all the support. My man Lou, what they talking about out there?
We got Jesse Banks. Says he saw the trailer on Getting Off Zero, and he wanted to know about bank loans and starting a business.
All right, Brother Jesse, appreciate the shout out. It's good that you got starting a business on your mind, but I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. The fact is, 9 out of 10 businesses do not get started by a bank loan, because I got to break down the real to you. Banks don't loan money to people without money. That's called bad banking. Banks loan money to people who already got money, because the bank's job is to get money off the repayment of that loan with interest. And if you ain't got no collateral, the average bank ain't. Now, there's small business loans and some other things out there that occasionally. But let me keep it real with you. Most businesses, small businesses, are started by contributions from family and friends and personal savings. That's the real deal. The average small business you see, that person didn't grind it, they didn't save, they didn't pass the hat to mama, auntie, Uncle Joe, the whole crew and family, and they done scraped up some money to get the lights and door on. So that's the real. You know, you got to get a budget, you got to be realistic, and you got to start saving your chips. Because the chances of walking in to Chase Bank or Bank of America and them people handing you a check is little to none. And I've started, 10, 12 different businesses, bought and sold a few businesses, and I've never once had a bank involved in it. So, that's been my experience, and again, I've been around the block a few times. So I hope we could help you out, Jesse. You can always hit us up at highexposure.com or Big Boss for more, bigboss@gmail.com for any more information. But they killing us on the text line. What else is happening out there, Lou?
Tyree, he says, or he's asking, is there any more money left in the game, or is it dried up?
Hey, Tyree, I believe what your question is, if you're speaking about the days of hustling. Well, Tyree, I'm going to keep it real with you. Back in my day, and and for all the authorities listening, y'all know this was a long time ago. I'm pretty sure my attorneys tell me the statute of limitation has ran out on the things I'm talking about. I ain't in the streets, my business is about the streets, but my business is not in the streets anymore. But I still got eyes, and I do see, and I still got ears, and I do hear things. And as far as the days like back in our day when, a guy who had a nice plug and you could set up a few little shops around town, and each one of your shops might could bring in 10, 15 stacks a day, them days is gone. The game didn't change. Back when we was hustling, we didn't have to compete against Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens, and the pharmacy. Average cat out there street hustling now, they got these pills, they got this cough syrup, average brother getting a package in. It just, the game didn't change, so in general, brothers is doing more time now for less money than ever in history. So yeah, the game didn't change. The street's a little bit dry, trying to find a new hustle. All right, the producers is telling me that we got to keep it moving, because people is trying to get at us on this text, and they getting at us on these emails. Once again, give us a shout at area code 954-232-5919. You can always reach us at bigbossfilmworks@gmail.com or bigbossfilmworks.com or highexposureconsulting.com. Brother Rich, once again, is telling me, get back on my job. I'm going to get right back with y'all. Give me 1 second, fam. We'll be right back. All right, fam, welcome back. We're running out of time. Thank you again, everybody, tuning in to the KingpinKidRadio.com for our premiere broadcast on the topic of My People and Money, African Americans, the richest broke folks in the history of history. And and back on this last topic before we shut this thing down tonight, if you got some business plans, if you got some business idea, me and my friends, we are always interested in a good business idea. We practice what we preach. We always keep a few chips put aside just in case we hear of a good idea, something that's really, somebody who's really serious, who's really got a well thought out plan, and something we can always make some money. We understand that it's called capitalism for a reason. You got to have some capital to make your dreams come true. So you can get at us with some of your business ideas at bigbossfilmworks.com or highexposureconsulting.com. And if what you're talking about is real and it's profitable, and you got a budget, you did your homework, you need to holler at your man, and we might be able to see if we can pass the hat around and get your project up off the ground. My heart well.
It was just time to really tell a great untold Detroit story, because it kind of covers Detroit at its zenith.
Very interesting story.
We decided that we were going to make a movie.
All right, Rich Rossi with you with Motown Mafia. I'm with Courtney.
Louis Stevens.
Louis Stevens, Courtney. Brown.
Courtney Brown Jr.
And Alan Al Prophet Bradley.
And this is an entrepreneurial, inspirational story too, because again, you know, I'm a real estate retail guy. You know, that's what my skill set is. But I'm a businessman, so I was like, you know, we're gonna do it. You know, sometimes when you got a dream, you won't have all the answers on how you're gonna do what you're gonna do.
What made this one unique was not so much the crime, but the intertwining with Detroit's history and the Motown era and kind of the economic decline of Detroit. And it's really the story of a family. And from some perspectives, it's has a happy ending, like you said. For others, it didn't have a happy ending, right?
But actually, Claxton was the guy who really had to wait.
The Italian mafia around here in Detroit had really been the primary wholesalers dating back to Prohibition. You had men like Giovanni Papa John Prizziola and Raphael Jimmy Q or Jimmy the Goon Quazzarano. Mr. Quazzarano as well as Mr. Prizziola had very, very solid ties over in Sicily, as well as ties into the French connection.
Claxton had met a connect out in Oak Park, some Italian.
Claxton was being fed top-quality heroin through Sam the Mustache Norber, a remnant of Detroit's infamous Jewish Purple Gang.
He was getting some of the best dope in the city. No question about it.
This territory was always recognized nationally as not just a hub for Detroit Italians, but a hub for national Italians to get their drugs.
So we were scuffling with it, you know, and we did this for like 4 or 5 months.
In '69, Eddie Jackson finally caught a break. A well-known junkie in Paradise Valley by the name of Box claimed he could hook Eddie up with someone big.
Box, he was just another average guy, man, addict, who happened to know Claxton.
First thing Box said, man, give me a blow, I'm sick. Eddie said, man, you ain't done what you say, man. Don't worry about it, man. Don't big man. Don't worry about it. Who is this guy you talking about? John Claxton. Man, and you a junkie and you don't, I know him. He just bought a house in Palmer Park, cost $40,000. I said, man, ain't no nigga got $40,000. So sure enough, he did know Claxton. Took Eddie out there. Eddie came back with some jive. I look at the package. I think it's sugar flour. I say, what is that? He said, that's dope. I say, man, a person pay you for this shit? He said, yeah. They started capping up the jive. I'm fascinated because I'd never seen heroin or cocaine in my life. I'm 30 years old, I've never seen it. And I said, what they do? He said, they're capping up these penny caps and they sell them for $1 a piece.
With Eddie now being supplied by John Claxton, his operation took off. And soon Eddie could be seen riding the streets in a brand new red convertible Cadillac.
I was working at the gas station on Gratiot and Madison. Eddie used to come through with them Cadillacs and stuff, you understand, which, you know, every black guy, you understand, wanted to drive a Cadillac. And I used to tell Eddie, let me hustle with him. He said, man, you know I can't hustle with you because, you understand, you know your mama would kill me.
Eddie come flying around the corner in a 1969 red Cadillac convertible, brand new.
San Mateo red. I never will forget it because we had went out to the car dealership out on Grand River, and he had picked that car out when we had first started, and I was like, man, you ain't finna make that kind of money to buy no Cadillac, you know, because I'm not thinking that big, but he is. And when I came home, he had that Cadillac.
Get in the car. I said, I'm not getting in the car, it's stolen. And Lodge, his brother laughed, said, no, Eddie just bought it at Coffee Cadillac for $6,900. I said, $6,900? He paid cash for it.
Once Eddie hooked up with Claxton, he started getting a product that he could work with, you know.
Seeing his buddy's business was now booming, Courtney Brown decided to supplement his day job by moonlighting with Eddie.
My mother and father had separated, and my father went to stay at this house on Mark Twain Street. And that morning, I woke up in the morning, and I hear these men talking in the kitchen. And I peeped in the kitchen, and it was a pile of white substance on the table. I had no idea what it was. The pile had to be like 4 feet high. But my father, he ushered me back in the room.
Eddie soon assigned him the task of finding an apartment building he could purchase to use as a headquarters for the operation. Courtney found it on Hancock Street and John R. in Midtown Detroit.
They was getting a little bigger. They opened a place on Hancock.
Kept saving his money, and then he bought that building up there on Hancock, and then he started selling quarters.